Henrik, you bring up a great point here. Can you give some ideations on like how you would approach a random organization if they're asking you to build a cybersecurity program for them?
Mm.
What might be some interesting questions that should be asked that are never really asked normally?
I would start, of course, from the very beginning and understanding. Okay, what do they do? Reading stuff on their page, making my own research what they do, so that I have a good foundational understanding of what is the business about. How do they make money? Where do they make money? Where do they have the offices? But also, when you speak with them, start to ask the question to them. I think this one is a very good one. Maybe not the first question, but a question that comes, let's say, somewhere in the middle in the interview process or somewhere. It's, what does security mean for them?
Wow, that's a big one.
Yeah,
You're going to get a
yeah,
lot of glazed eyes. They'll be like, "What do you
yeah,
mean?" They're going to say, "That means that
I
we don't
mean,
get breached." That's
yes, and that's a good answer. They say we don't want to get breached. Okay, why? Then you can ask that question. Why don't we want to get breached? Yeah, because that would be negative for our brand. Then you start to spiral down here and say, okay, so is it the brand that is the most important one for you? Yeah, of course, because we're listed on the stock market, and if we get breached or data leaks or someone steals the stuff, brand damage, our stock will fall down in a multitude. And I mean, the question is hard, but the answer there behind it is very easy to lead out to, dependent on if you know the context, if you know where they operate. You as a security leader, you can start to lead your audience, the organization you're supporting, towards understanding, okay, what does security mean for them? For some, it will be, or for many, brand and reputation, of course, but it could mean something totally different. And this answer usually comes down to that, as I said, dependent on where you are in an organization, that will also mean different things. For an HR
absolutely.
department, they might not say brand and reputation. They might say something different related to maybe the people, but the finance
They
might
might,
say something
but
else.
but even there, the HR department is there to facilitate the operation of the business.
Yes.
So when and I'd love to hear your comment on this, but usually when we like some of the smaller businesses that can't afford talent like you, usually, but they come and ask, well, where do we begin?
Mm-hmm.
Say, one way that to approach the problem that you can do internally and you won't go wrong is understand your revenue chain
Yeah.
and start by really studying that and seeing what elements of that are vulnerable and protecting it.
Yes.
That is where you dive down the rabbit hole. Now, for a larger company, it's a little bit of a different approach, but for a medium organization, they can very quickly start seeing, well, how do we make money? And that's everything from inventory management to shipping to production to order input. And what are the compute assets involved? What are the process assets involved? What are the people assets involved?
Yes. Yes.
And for that, you don't need a degree in cybersecurity. This is something every business could probably do if they are willing to put the time and patience in to build
Yeah.
a real cybersecurity. Your thoughts?
Yeah, but I think you're totally right there. I mean, it's a different, how should I say, a different angle to it. And usually one of the questions is, okay, what are your crown jewels? It's the same question, like the revenue stream here as well. What is worth to be protecting? And that is also something to elaborate on with your customer. If someone brings me in, I want to know what they see as their crown jewels. What do they want, or what do they need to protect or make sure is protected? Because every piece of data, every piece of information, every process, everything is not as equally important. Some are more critical and sensitive to the business, some are not. And why not start there as well? When you understand what security means and what is the most important ones, start with the crown jewels. Maybe skip the stuff that is less important. But then I also think everyone, still today, it's strange that this is a thing, but do security hygiene right. Start to do it and do it.
Man, that's a topic.
Yeah. I mean, we shouldn't be speaking about it in 2025. Pick any security report and we read about it there, or any newspaper on a daily basis, we read about it there. So I mean, saying to a company, okay, if you should do something, do security hygiene and explain what it means for them, of course. And then scale it to the crown jewels, for example. There are different aspects to do it. And as you said here, like it also depends on the size of the creature here. A big enterprise, of course, that will be a bit, not maybe harder. The principles are the same, how to achieve to the end goal. But I mean, then you might need a different approach because the program will be running for a longer time because of the nature of the creature. The change curve is so big. In the end, we have to deal with the human aspect of change enablement as well. So just making a teeny weeny little secure thing here, going from a couple of web browsers down to one, which is hard, and removing local admin rights and enabling two-factor authentication. Pretty simple things, but in the end, it's the people who are going to use it. It's not, if they didn't have it before, coming in as a security dude and saying we're going to lock down your computer here.
They're not going to like that. They're going to.
No, of course not.
There's always, but on that one, if they're explained the why behind things and that it won't impact their job, they're more likely to accept it. If it's just a mandate, then they probably will not be so happy.